Welcome to the Redondo Beach local election candidate discussion for mayor. My name is Ann Garton, and I'm a 38-year resident of Redondo Beach, and I will be your moderator for this discussion. Congratulations, Mayor Light, on your decision to run for public office.
Thank you.
Today's format will be as follows. You may begin with a 2-minute opening statement, and the timekeeper will advise you when you have 15 seconds left, and she'll advise you again when the time is up on the clock. You will have 10 minutes to answer the 5 pre-selected questions, which were emailed to you and to each candidate at least one day prior to today's Zoom call. So I'll turn it over to you to begin with your introduction.
Thank you. Hello, I am Redondo Beach Mayor Jim Light. As your mayor this past year, my accomplishments include bringing more respect and less acrimony to city council meetings, passing the first unanimous budget in over a decade, leading the unanimous approval of Measure FP, which will replace and refurbish our fire and police facilities. And just this past week, after being stalled for 2 years, I worked with Southern California Edison to get approval to construct a new park under the power lines west of PCH. I'm a 35-year resident of Redondo Beach with a 24-year track record of protecting and enhancing our quality of life. In 2004, I was a founding board member and twice president of South Bay Parkland Conservancy, fighting against the AES power plant and building our first community garden in Redondo Beach. In 2008, I co-authored Measure DD, which today gives us all the right to vote on zoning changes in Redondo. And in 2017, I wrote Measure C and the appeal to the Coastal Commission that stopped the overdevelopment of our harbor. I have served on our Harbor Commission for 8 years and the General Plan Advisory Committee for 7 years. Redondo today is on a great path. Revitalization is happening all over our great city. To keep things moving, I have found that I have to be in City Hall nearly every single day that it's open. As your mayor, over the next 4 years, I will focus on keeping the city moving forward, achieving fiscal sustainability through economic development, moving out smartly on Measure FP, and ensuring our firefighters and police are fully staffed, well-trained, and well-equipped. And finally, restoring Redondo as the crown jewel of the South Bay through balanced revitalization.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I will begin with the, as I mentioned, 5 pre-selected questions. First question, please share your top 2 to 3 priorities for the city of Redondo Beach if you are elected mayor, and what are your plans to accomplish them?
Thanks. My first priority is sustaining and accelerating revitalization across the city without overdevelopment, and I'll do that by continuing my daily time in City Hall, working with staff and external organizations to keep progress moving. My second priority is ensuring fiscal sustainability through economic development. And I'll do that by executing the aviation and Artesia area plan, the harbor commercial plan, and by creating a similar plan for PCH and executing it. I would also work with the waterfront and economic development director to dedicate staff to economic development across the city, not just focused on the harbor, and especially focused on our troubled business corridors. And finally, I would expand the current business expediter function we have in the waterfront and economic development directorate. And thirdly, I continue to protect and enhance our quality of life by balancing the quality of life impacts in new development, by expanding parkland, by acquiring the AES site and creating a green belt to the sea up the power line corridor, investing in public safety by expediting Measure FP funds to replace the fire and police facilities, and ensuring our first responders are trained, equipped, and fully staffed. I would further invest in all our parks and other public infrastructure. And lastly, I would protect local control of zoning and development decisions.
Thank you. Question number 2, what do you see as the primary assets a thriving business community brings to the city of Redondo Beach, and what will you do to support business retention, growth, and job creation in Redondo Beach?
Yeah, a thriving business community is absolutely essential to our city's fiscal sustainability. Per square foot, commercial development in Redondo produces 7 times the general fund revenue that high density housing does. So in that vein, I would fight to protect us from local control. The housing mandates on this last cycle have eaten up valuable commercial space that we won't be able to get that revenue from. Second, as I said before, I would dedicate one of our staff members in waterfront and economic development to full-time economic development outside the harbor. Third, as I said before, I would expand the business expediter process. I would work with our community development director to automate and streamline city red tape. And finally, as I said before, execute the aviation and area and Artesia area plans, the harbor commercial plan, and develop and execute a similar plan for PCH.
Thank you. Question number 3. In an effort to address the housing shortage in California, the state is proposing policies that would reduce local control for individual cities and provide a one-size-fits-all solution. What will you do to preserve local control relative to zoning?
Yeah, these housing mandates are an existential threat to our fiscal sustainability. And so, I do focus on maintaining local control. First, we need to ensure that we implement our housing element and general plan to avoid builder's remedy and other penalties. Second, continue to support what Bill Brand started as our neighborhood voices with a statewide initiative to eliminate the housing mandates. But because that has been stalled, I've started working with our state legislators to pass a bill that would exempt housing abundant cities like Redondo Beach from these housing mandates. And then finally, I'm developing an advocacy briefing to take to our state legislators and the governor's office on the fiscal sustainability threat that these continued mandates impose on cities like Redondo that already have a small portion of its land dedicated towards business.
Okay, thank you. Question 4. And I know you've touched on this some, but maybe you can expand. What accomplishments in your past make you the right choice for this office?
Yeah. Well, first off, I already highlighted, as mayor, I'm actually excited about what I've been able to accomplish in just 11 months. We had the first unanimous vote on the budget in decades. My government and corporate experience with acquisition, contract management, project management, and budgeting have already accelerated projects. For example, I wrote the RFP, the request for proposal for the boat ramp, because it was stalled because our city staff was overwhelmed with work. I wrote the master plan for Wilderness Park that we're now executing on investment in that park. I wrote the draft of the state bill to exclude cities like Redondo from the housing mandates. I've also taken time to mentor staff on how to write an RFP, how to conduct a source selection, and how to manage a contract. But I wanted to go beyond that. So I've been working with the city manager on a strategy to hire specific expertise in contracts and project management that the city is weak on today. And in fact, we just recently made the hires for those 2 positions. So looking forward to working with them. And then to expand that education across city staff, the city manager and I are working together with Pepperdine to develop a training curriculum for city staff on acquisition and contract management. Another area, I brought more unity and respect to council meetings, and I've run meetings more efficiently. It is rare since I've been mayor that a meeting has gone past 10 p.m. since I've taken office, and I know a lot of the public have commented on that because they don't like sitting there after midnight waiting to talk on their issue. I've also written numerous documents to accelerate progress. I covered this a little bit before, the RFP for the boat ramp, the Wilderness Park Master Plan. And I've led the unanimous vote for SFP. So for my first 11 months, I never expected to accomplish this much. My experience in education and being in City Hall and every day have been enablers. And this performance as mayor demonstrates what I will be able to do over the next 4 years.
Okay, thank you. So this is our final question, and it is an